Town Council is back in session. Let the record state that no votes were taken in the executive session. Is there a motion to seal the minutes? Motion by Mrs. Zelinski. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. O'Hara. Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Next item, North Smithfield Town Council sitting as the Board of License Commissioners. Discussion by council vote or other action on extended hours license for C&L NS LLC doing business as Denny's, number 8781, 44 Dowling Village Boulevard. We extended this from the last meeting that we granted a 2-week extension to their hours pending a review by the police and the fire department, and then we'll review and take another vote whether to go further or not. Any motion to extend the hours, the license 24 hours for C&L NS LLC doing business as Denny's, number 8781. Is there a motion to approve the extended hours?
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Bonioli, seconded by Mrs. O'Hara. Discussion. Mr. Zelinski.
Mr. President, I'd like to thank the fire chief and the police chief for giving us some information. North Smithfield Fire and Rescue, to be expected at restaurants, I think it's reasonable for responding. But when I look at the police report, January to December 2017, there were 5 calls for services. January to December 2018, there are 8 calls for services. January to date of this, up until November, there are 12 calls for services. It's like a 60+% increase every year for calls for services. I have a concern about public safety. One thing to send out the rescues, the EMTs to help folks out over there. But when we start looking at the amount of police calls, I have a big concern about that. And being 24 hours, I'll say what I said before, it's a mecca. 1 o'clock, folks get out of nightclubs or entertainment locations, and they go to get breakfast, and they're traveling on roads. Not all of them. There are some folks that are working a shift that come out for breakfast or going in for a shift, whatever it may be. But I have a concern of generating traffic over there, especially with the escalation of police calls for assistance over there.
I'd like to add something to that, but on the other end, I think you saw an increase because Coffee and Cream was no more. Once they reestablish themselves, they'll be the other end of town, but it's still going to be a place that's open all night. Therefore, they have the same problem, whether it be at Park Square, whether it be in the Industrial Drive or Greenville Road. So I think the increase is caused by that. Do you have places? I know many times we had working on fundraisers till 3 o'clock in the morning. We'd all go down there for breakfast, and it was welcomed. I think the increase was caused by Coffee and Cream being no more. So whatever happened there is now just traveling to the other side.
That could be a good point. Thank you.
Well,
I think it would have been. I mean, I'm assuming most of these calls are taking place beyond the hours of a normal business establishment, 6 to 2 or even 8 to 5. It would have been helpful probably to see the hours that these were occurring.
The data is from 12 a.m. and I'm assuming it was 6 a.m. but it says 6 p.m. I'm assuming it was from 6. It was to 6 a.m. The one thing that's missing from this information though is what were those calls for? Right. You could get a call from the police department saying, "I locked the keys in my car." It could be something as simple as that. It doesn't mean that it was a disturbance. We don't know that. That's in Mrs. O'Hara. That is a good point. That is a good point. That one establishment, because I know that there were police calls to Coffee and Cream on several occasions as well. So that could very well be what happened. So
I think Coffee and Cream, there was an issue there in the past, and they addressed it by bringing in an off-duty police officer. All of the silliness may have been happening inside the establishment ceased. Regardless whether it's locked keys or whatever, it's jumping at 60% every year. And yeah, good point, Councilor O'Hara. Thank you.
any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Yes.
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 Mr. Zelinski?
No.
Mr. that?
Yes. You'll notify them that coming in with the license counts for a full year. Next item, under old business, discussion by council about other action on update by municipal building review task force. I have nothing for you this evening. Item B, discussion by council about other action on preliminary discussion surrounding the town and social media use. Mr. Ogier.
Yeah, so we talked about this 4 weeks ago, and I provided an example from another community, albeit outside of Rhode Island. There is definitely a lot of social media that takes place in this town, whether it's not town sponsored. None of the social media in town is town sponsored, and there may come a time when there is value to having it. The newsletter is great. I subscribe to it myself. I got the notification yesterday that the Christmas tree lighting was postponed. But, I think that there's other value in how we reach people. There is value that we could utilize social media, and if we do, we should have a policy. And I know the argument could be made, well, we don't want them using social media while they're at work. Well, they're going to access social media through their cell phones, which increases vulnerabilities there as well from from a security perspective, but there's just data there to support it. And so I think there's merit to looking at how do we craft social media, especially when we have people that are appointed or whatever that are utilizing social media to interact on behalf of a town or not. So,
Is there any motion? I'll make a comment on this. This is no motion that I see no value to the town being on social media. Maybe it's just me being the old man, but I just don't see any value in being on social media at all. It's too anonymous. It will create more issues for our town than benefits will come out of it. Just my opinion.
I mean, we're still in discussion. There is, whether we want to accept the reality or not, social media is out there. I mean, yes, we could turn a blind eye to it, but one of the first things I did when I moved to this community is I looked up to see what was offering to the town. And the first place I went was social media. So maybe that's my age, but thinking of it from my generational perspective and the generations that are going to be moving into North Smithfield, people do utilize social media to just completely cast a blind eye to it. The average demographic of Facebook, for example, is not people my age, it's older. So we should be reaching people. People are more apt to go to Facebook, whether they were scrolling through or looking at the Patriots game or whatnot. There's value there. And so if we do, we should have a policy. So, I think we should have a policy. And we should be utilizing it, but, it creates, the perception is out there that when you see things and it's, North Smithfield this or North Smithfield that, or it could be something as simple as, this is affiliated with North Smithfield. And it's a one-spot shop, and that's where people go, and they know that they can access information on a more routine basis. So I'll make a motion once if there's no other discussion. Make a motion, I guess, and we can still discuss. So I would make a motion then that I work with David to craft a policy for us to review, and the town administrator too.
Second the motion, Council. There's a motion by Mr. Ogier to work on developing a social media policy for the town of North Smithfield. There's a second by Mrs. Lansky. Discussion?
Mr. President,
Mr. Lansky.
I hope I made my points, my position clear the last time we spoke of this. We have a policy right now. We don't use it. We can't stop people from using the name North Smithfield. Well, maybe we could, but I mean, have at it. I mean, how are we going to do that? I mean, we can't. It might be a function of who we appoint or reappoint to different boards and commissions in terms of how we control some things, but we're not going to fix what is wrong with social media by establishing a policy such as this. In my view, there is very little information that comes across through the different social media options that comes through without the burden of noise, which is the politest word I think I can put here. That just is totally non-productive. You know, not long ago, a few months ago, I think it was a Cranston employee was terminated over a comment made in response to, you know, someone in a municipal site. I don't want to subject our employees to that kind of bait and clopper that can take place, where people in a moment of frustration simply, you know, engage in non-productive communication that ultimately becomes a negative for them and potentially a negative for the community. We do get our message out using the tools available to us. I don't see the opportunity to create a policy like this as being any kind of improvement or benefit to the town. As the administrator, I will not pursue this kind of activity, period. I'll be gone in a year, but until then, I won't have anything to do with it.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, can I just say real quick, Mr. President? So, this isn't to say that people can't limit their personal opinion on social media, and this is not to say that this is going to fix the problems of social media. You know, just like employers say, you know, thoughts and opinions, if you're talking about an employment situation, thoughts and opinions reflect my own and not those of others, and then whatever. That's one way to curb that. You can also authenticate or verify that the town page is actually the town page that you're supposed to be looking at, and you look for that little circle with the little check mark inside. And this isn't to be a witch hunt. This is to say if we had a town social media policy, and again, it's a town site, people utilizing those town sites would have to do so accordingly, and how you share your personal opinion on the town site if you do use a town site. What people do on their personal social media is their own merit, but this is to talk about town-specific activity. It's not to talk about what you do or do. That's the sense of that is, you know, that's a conversation I don't even want to go down. This is about if we were to utilize town social media, and I think there's value there.
Any other discussion? We have a motion and a second to develop a social media policy. Roll call vote.
Mrs. Bottomoli?
No.
Mrs. O'Hara?
No.
Mr. Ogier?
Yes.
Mr. Valenti?
Yes.
Mr. Vadenais?
No. Next item, discussion by council vote, other action. Kim Casci-Palangio, Rhode Island Program Manager of Partner Relations for the Cybercrime Support Network. Is somebody here from Cybercrime Support Network? We've already moved this from a previous agenda to this agenda because they were not here.
Can I ask a question?
There's nobody here, but I guess my comment on this would be that if they're just looking to see if we support this or not, in my mind, if there's a cybercrime committed or there's fraud or something done on the internet, they need to turn it to the police. That's where the police department for. This is nothing really other than us saying, okay, yeah, we like that you have this program out there, but if a resident or somebody in the community has an issue that cybercrime's been committed on them, I think the line of defense is for the police department or the state police. Cybercrime. Any other comments on that?
I was just going to ask, are there any other communities involved in this? No.
I don't.
There's no department there, that's why I was curious. As to like where this came from.
What we have is this
Yeah, I know, that's what I was
information,
curious.
and I look at it saying, okay, if you have an issue with that, then the police are the people to handle it. Certainly not me.
Is there a cost to doing this?
Until we want to join.
I know that, but at first I didn't see a cost either, so.
I just say we accept and place on record as accepting it.
The motion by Mrs. Zelinski to accept and place on file. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Ogier. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Bottomoli?
Just place it on
Yes.
file.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Ogier?
Yes.
Mrs. Zelinski?
Yes.
Mr. Vadenais?
Yes. Next item, discussion by council vote or other action on rules of order of the town council. We did have this discussion at the last meeting. We made some comments, and I can see that the solicitor did put some language together to address it. What would be the pleasure of the council?
Mr. President, if I may.
Mr. Zalinski.
Nothing has changed on articles from 1 up until 14D, open forum. I think that's what we might have some discussion starting at that point.
Well, these are new item.
Yeah. So, do we want to continue?
Yep, go ahead.
All right. So under open forum, the solicitor put together 2 options. I'll read them for the folks out there that may not have seen it. Option 1, individuals who wish to address the town council during the open forum must sign up prior to the start of the meeting. Public comment sign-in sheet will be available at the meeting room before the start of the meeting. Open forum will be limited to 15 minutes unless the town council extends the time period. The town council will allow 3 minutes each for individual comments. It does not address if there were more than 5 people signing up. So option 2. Individuals who wish to address the town council during the open forum must sign up prior to the start of the meeting. Public comment sign-in sheets will be available in the meeting room before the start of the meeting. Open forum will be limited to 15 minutes unless the town council extends the time period. The town council will allow time for each individual comments based upon the number of individuals who sign up prior to the start of the meeting. Those are 2 options. If I may continue, I prefer option 2. But I would just like to insert the words where it says open forum will be limited to 15 minutes unless the town council is where I'd like to insert by majority extends the time period. That's the suggestion I would have. Mr. President, of course, colleagues may have different opinions whether option 1 is better or option 2 is the best. But if if option 2 is being considered again by majority, is what I'd like to insert in there.
Any other discussion?
I agree. Option 2 should be the way to go. I don't understand the 3-minute time limit. You know, I think, you know, people, if there's one person, you know, if there's 10 people, we should be able to allocate the time accordingly. But I think to say 3 minutes, I mean, I never understood the 3 minutes, so I would be in favor of option 2.
Is there a motion on that?
I make a motion to adopt. Well, didn't you make a motion?
No, back then I said, of course, that the other colleagues had a comment. I didn't make a motion.
Well,
I just said I preferred 2 with the insertion of 15 minutes unless the town council by majority extends the time period.
So I'll make that motion if you want. I'll make a motion to adopt option 2 under Rules of Order 14D with Mr. Vice President's language added.
Motion by Mr. Ogier, seconded by Mr. Zalinski. Any other comments?
May I?
Mr. Barney.
So if we're doing 15 minutes and we have 1 speaker, how are we giving them the 15 minutes?
One talk. What happens if you would have 1 person and you wanted 15 minutes to speak?
2 people, 7.5, 4 people, 5. If we go over 5, the council by majority can vote to extend the time.
And again, if we find them going on about something, we could ask them to say, this is on the agenda. We can always open up that portion during the meeting to have them chime back in during that point. We want to keep the 15 minutes in consideration for the people that may speak about something that's not on the agenda.
And or put it on the next agenda.
Right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, any person here that wants to be heard, I think has the right to be heard, and I don't care if it's 20 people.
My issue
So
with
it
that-
goes longer, but I just think we can't say we only have this allotted, or we give them another 6 minutes. They're here. One night I was disturbed because a man was waiting, and then it was shut down. And he did come another time. but I think everyone that's here, and I prefer to say every taxpayer that's here, every person living in town that's here and has a vested interest, I think has the right to speak up at a meeting.
My only issue with this is signing up prior. Someone could be sitting out there and hear something under the open forum and want to address the council on that. And it's not allowed unless they signed up on that sheet prior to the meeting. That's why I don't like, personally, I don't like the sign-up sheet. Because it only allows those people that put their name on the sheet to speak. So someone could come up and want to speak on something that came up and they're not allowed to. And that's defeating the purpose of what we're saying. You want the open forum is to the people. I think the fair thing is to give people the time limit. Knowing coming in, there's a time limit. If there's 10 people that want to speak, then we can extend that time frame to 30 minutes or whatever we want.
Without the sign-up sheet.
But even option one has the sign-up sheet though.
Even better, it's getting better.
But yeah, but even option one still has the sign-up sheet, so you'd have to completely strike that from either one.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Because if the sign-up sheet's a must, my doors were frozen tonight, so I was late for a meeting. And if I was just coming to the meeting, I would have been omitted because I wasn't on sign-up sheet. And it's not as if I was partying before, these things happen. So I think you have to take that into consideration, or you drop off one practice and another and don't leave until, I'm here, but it's generally at the beginning of the meeting, and unless we're in closed session, people may not stay for the whole thing, but they have something they want to speak about.